Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a quilt using Hexagon pinwheels. We're going to need a jelly roll to make this quilt, and I'm going to use this nice, cheerful Kaffe Fassett jelly roll. The only other thing we need is a background, and I really think these will look best on something nice and dark, and I'm going to use black. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at our strips. And we are going to be pairing these up. So we're going to get two different fabrics that have some contrast because each block is going to have two different prints. So let's take this print here and this print here because we've got a little bit of contrast and that will make a nice pinwheel. Now I'm going to pick two other prints. This one here, and let's get something that's different. Maybe this striped one. That gives me some contrast. Those will go together. So I'm going to keep pairing these up so I've got the whole roll in pairs. Once you have them paired, go right to the sewing machine, take the two, and we're going to make a strip unit. So I'm going to put the edges even right on top of themselves here and stitch them using a 1/4 inch seam. You want to be sure to not stretch either the top or the bottom so that the strip unit will lay nice and flat. Finger press the seam allowance to one side. It really doesn't matter which way you press it. So you can press towards the darker color. Of course, with these bright Kaffe Fassets, there's not always a darker color. They're both so nice and bright. To get this ironed nice and straight, I like to press my hand along it. We've already finger pressed it, so it's already pretty flat. But smooth it with your hands, then take a straight edge. Got this big metal ruler here, and make sure you've got it lined up on that so that you know you don't have any curves in it. And then give it a dry iron, and then use some steam. So I'm going to line it up on one of the lines here. And this pattern uses a template. So this template will be included in the free pattern. You can transfer this to plastic template material if you like, or if you have a 60-degree triangle ruler, you can use this instead. So I'm going to use the template right now. And I'm going to put the bottom of it on the bottom of the edge of my strip set and the top on the top. So it's exactly the right size. And I'm going to go ahead and make my first cut. Now I can't cut left-handed, so I am going to turn the whole strip unit around and put the template down at this far end and make all of my pieces, cut all of my pieces from this end. So I'm lining that back up. And I'm going to cut right here. Now I'm going to turn the template around, line it up again, and cut from this spot here. And I'm going to keep turning the template, didn't get it cut all the way there. I'm going to keep turning the template up, down, till I have the whole row cut up. I have the whole strip unit cut up. I got 12 triangles from that strip. Now you'll notice the triangles that are on the top here are the opposite of these on the bottom. So I'm going to pick all of these that match and put them in a stack. And then I'm going to pick these other ones that match that are the opposite and put them in a stack. So we're going to make two different blocks here and each one has all the same triangle. Here is what the block is going to look like. We are going to be turning these triangles in different directions. So I'm just spinning them one time. And that's the block we're going to make. You can already see the pinwheel there. And we're going to make it in halves. So this half is actually exactly the same as that half. So it's a lot easier just to make two exact halves and then we'll stitch them together. Take these first two pieces, put them right sides together and match the far end of the triangle there, because the tip is either straight or it's got the pinked edge if your strip had a pinked edge like mine did. And we're going to stitch from we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam and stitch this seam right here. So I'm going to just put this back where it was so I don't get out of order. So it's going to be going right there. And I'm going to press the seam towards this one long strip or away from the centerpiece. Now we're going to sew this seam. So just put this right sides together. And again, match up this far corner here, right here. Match up that edge and sew 1/4 inch. This seam allowance is going to go away from the center. So I'm finger pressing it, but I'm trying not to stretch it. So that's 1/2. We'll do the same thing with the second half. Now that we have 2 halves that are exactly the same, we are going to stitch them together. And this is easier than it looks. So these little triangles that are sticking off here, they really help you match this up. So I'm going to hold that there, line this edge up here, and start stitching. Now we're going to take this closed like this right to the ironing board. The best way to iron these blocks is to iron them closed first from both sides. So just flatten it out a little bit. Don't pull and stretch it. Just make sure your seam allowances are going in the direction you want them to go into. And then same thing from this side. And from the second side, I usually steam it a little. Now, I'm going to peel this open and hold the bottom half on the table and just gently press this with my fingers. What I'm trying to do is get it opened, but not get a curve in this seam here. Because these pieces are in all different directions, the grain is all different ways, it's very easy to distort it. So I'm just gonna press it like this without pulling. Iron it with no steam, make sure it looks flat, then steam it. There's our first block. I'm going to take the rest of my strips, sew them together, and make a whole lot of blocks just like this. These are all done. Now we're going to work on the background. So we're going to cut some 4.5 inch strips from the black. Now we're going to subcut these. Let me move some out of the way here. We're going to subcut these so that we can put them around the outside of our hexagon blocks so that they will be rectangles. So I'm going to first subcut this into 3.5 inch wide rectangles. Now we have a lot of rectangles and we have to subcut each rectangle using our B template. Again, you can make a plastic template if you want to help you cut. So this is going to go in the corner and we're going to cut right across there, and it's going to give us 2 pieces that are exactly the same size. So do that with all of these rectangles. Now we're going to take 4 of these corner units, and these are what are going to fill in to make our rectangle. So to stitch these on, we'll start with these here. Here is how this matches. The short end here is the same angle as the block is. So we're just going to line that edge up with the edges of the block. And a little bit of this guy is going to be sticking off, and we're going to stitch with 1/4 inch, which is right where the intersection of these 2 pieces come together. So we'll stitch right along that line. Open it up and gently finger press the seam towards the black. Now the next corner, which fits here, it's the same procedure. It's going to be sticking off the end there a little bit, and this edge is going to be lined up with the block. Now it's a little bit harder to see the block because you've got this piece on top, but if you lift it up a little, you can see where that edge is and line up the corners and stitch using the 1/4 inch seam allowance again. I have the background fabric on all of the blocks, and this is so simple to lay out. So we're going to do 5 blocks wide here. And I'm going to lay them out first, then I will trade around to make sure I have a nice color blend. But we're going to lay 5 out like this. And then the next row is going to go up here. And I'm going to leave a little space there. And once we have all these rows laid out, we're going to have 7 rows going up, and there's 5 in each row. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some sashing between the rows, because these blocks look a lot better when we put this down. Take a look. Now each one of those pinwheels is going to be separated by the sashing. So that's all I have to do to make the quilt, is keep laying this out and sew this row, put the sashing in, sew this row, put the sashing in. And then when it's all done, I've got some 3-inch borders here that'll go all the way around the outside to frame it, and then we can get it right under the quilting machine. The quilt is on the machine, and I'm definitely going to use green thread. I have these 2 different shades, and let's see which will show up better on the black, because that's what I want this time, is for something that will show up on the black. I think that lighter, brighter will show up a little more, so let's use that one. I'm going to use a quilting pattern called Van Gogh. It's very abstract looking, and when we repeat it, has a very fun scrolly look on it. So that's what we're going to use on the quilt. I have the Hexagon pinwheel quilt all done. I'm really happy with how it came out, because sometimes you see the pinwheels, like in this block here, and sometimes you just see nice big hexagons of color. The quilting with the green thread looks really good on that black background. It almost gives it texture. The quilting also shows from the back side. I used that stripe there, but you can see those swirls very clearly. Now the quilt turned out 51 by 68 inches, so it was a really nice size to make, and it used up the whole jelly roll. Thanks for watching our Hexagon pinwheel tutorial. We hope you enjoyed it. Now we're going to have another giveaway. This is a traditional single Irish chain quilt, and it's made up in Kansas Troubles fabrics. It's about 68 by 80. It's a nice big generous throw size, nice rust print on the back, tiny little quilting on it. It's very easy to enter the giveaways. Just click the link that says giveaway and put in your email address and your name. Good luck. Now, if you don't want to miss any of our upcoming tutorials, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please keep leaving me comments and requests for quilts that you would like to see me make. I read all the comments and I love to hear from you. Happy quilting!